Welcome to Mishna study Masachet Sheviit, Perek Het Mishna Zayin. Over here in this Mishnah, we're going to speak about cooking Sheviit in Terumah oil. Now, this is going to really get to more a core principle of Sheviit, and this is what we call Demeh Sheviit, right? The money, the value of Sheviit. We're also going to get to that law at the end of this Mishnah, and we'll explain. So you're not allowed to go ahead and cook vegetables of Sheviit, right? So let's say you had Sheviit carrots, and you wanted to cook that in Terumah oil. You're not allowed to do so. Why? Because you may go ahead and bring the Sheviit to become pasul, right? Because Terumah, you don't want the Terumah to go ahead and become tameh, because Terumah can become tameh much easier than other foods. Right? They become a shil tuma as opposed to other foods that going to become a shanila tuma. So become, that entire entity, all the terumah could become pasul. And once you go ahead and cook Sheviit vegetables in there, so if the terumah becomes tameh now you need to discard and dispose of these vegetables, these Sheviit vegetables. So you're potentially bringing Sheviit vegetables to be destroyed, and we don't want that to happen. So we don't allow you to even cook vegetables, Sheviit vegetables in Terumah oil. Rabbi Shimon matir, Rabbi Shimon allows. Now, ha'aharon nitpas b'Sheviit ve'aperi atzmo asur. So what does this mean? The last one takes on the law of Sheviit, and the fruit itself is asur. So I'll explain this with an example. If you have Sheviit fruit, right, you Sheviit grapes, and you want to redeem them, you're allowed to redeem them, just as you would a korban. If you had a korban animal and you want to switch it, or maybe a korban is not a good example, let's say a terumah, or something that something that's kadosh, right? Something that's kadosh, you want to go and transfer that kedusha, right? Let's say maaser sheni, that's a good one, right? And maaser sheni, you want to transfer that kedusha, and you go ahead and transfer it onto a coin or onto other foods. That kedusha transfers, it leaves the original item and it transfers onto the next item. Now, here we're saying if you have Sheviit fruits, you have Sheviit grapes, and you want to transfer that kedusha of Sheviit. So if you take those grapes and you say, I'm going to transfer it over onto a piece of meat, okay? That piece of meat becomes kadosh, right? And it takes the laws of Sheviit. And now you take that piece of meat and you transfer it onto fish. So the kedusha leaves the meat and now sets onto that piece of fish. If you take the fish and you transfer it onto oil, so it leaves the fish and transfer it onto the oil. So it keeps on shifting, moving over and over until, to that last one. So the last one, the last one takes upon the laws of the kedusha of Sheviit. Now also, the peri atzmo asur, the original fruit is also asur. The kedusha never leaves the original Sheviit. So those original grapes, they have the law of Sheviit, and the last item, let's say that oil, takes upon the laws of Sheviit. Okay, that's the laws when it comes to Sheviit. Now, what is this called? It's called Demeh Sheviit. This is the value, right? The damim, the monetary value of Sheviit. So if you have, again, as long as it keeps on transferring, that last item takes upon that kedusha of Sheviit. Now, what's the law of this? Like we'll see even later on, right? You need to get rid of anything that has kedusha of Sheviit by a certain time. Right, so if you have this oil now at the end, you're gonna have to finish that oil by the certain time, by the end of that shemitah. Whenever that time frame is that you need to finish these certain fruits of shemitah, you're gonna have to go ahead and finish it with this oil if that's the last one, or the meat if that's the last one. Right, so it takes upon the laws and the kedusha of Sheviit, and like we said, it's the first item and the last one. They learned this from the Sifra. They learned it from a few Pesukim where it says Kiovelhi, right? Kodesh, right? It's Kodesh, but at the same time it says, another Pasuk says that it's Kodesh Tihiyeh, right? So meaning it's keeping upon the Kedusha. You could see the Limud Hanabam brings it down, and it's some type of compromise where you say the Kedusha doesn't exactly leave all together. It stays in the first item, but it's going to catch on to the last one, whatever it may be.